So you're familiar with the master that we're...
No. There's a conversation about that show coming to Toronto, which means I think we should really talk about MSG.
100%.
What?
Can you believe it? I'm going backstage to MSG twice in 6 months. I took my parents, their mind got blown.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was
Great.
great.
Yeah, I've been so proud. As second generation immigrants, or else pursuing creative things has always been a complicated process for many reasons. And how was that? What was that experience like for you? What are your parents like now?
Yeah, so I'll quote the great Zakir Khan. Actually, he says that your parents are not against your dreams. He says this in Hindi, obviously, but he says that your parents are not against your dreams. They're just against you being broke.
Yeah,
right.
That's 100% true.
And so, like for me, it's like I don't know. I did get an MBA in finance, and I did pursue a different track. I can't really speak to whether off rip they would have been 100%, but I understand as to why. Yeah. There's reasons around that. And I think, my parents came over as immigrants. Yeah. My dad was 35 or 36 years old when he came over to the States. Yeah. And so, the pressure of being able to build a life and a legacy with 7 people, constantly around. I can't imagine. I'm currently 34, so imagine me doing 7 people in my house and then single breadwinner, and I can't imagine. So the long and the short of it, how they feel about it now, though, they're incredibly proud. Yeah. In fact, it's created like this really interesting moment between my mom and I, because my mom has like a very specific artistic perspective that I didn't know about when I was growing up. So as an example, I'll show her like campaign videos. I'll show everybody, the whole family, before I release it. But my mom notices these like really cute things, and so it's created this amazing like back and forth between my mom. What about you? How about your parents?
It's quite similar. I mean, it was complicated for me in that my parents were first generation immigrants. They came to Europe with pretty much nothing and had to build our family up from nothing, and they wanted to make sure that I didn't have to go through what they went through. Their instruction manual for achieving that was making sure that I got a really good education. So when I first approached my dad to go and do music, he was like, absolutely not. I went and I did a law degree at Oxford and did that instead. But it's funny how life works. That's where I first encountered Indian classical and Sufi music. So there is a path.
Correct.
And things do happen for a reason. I was a much more cynical man before I started looking back at the journey that got me to this place.
Were you into classical music prior to your experience there?
I'm not classically trained. I'm not classically orchestrally trained.
Wow.
Everything that I do is self-taught. So it's a constant journey. But no, I hadn't come across it in any way because I grew up in Cyprus, which is an island, and I think we were the only South Asians there.
Amazing.
It was just us. So we were not embedded in the culture. So when I came to the UK and found this huge diaspora, I was just like, this is incredible. I couldn't get enough of it.
I think that's interesting because I feel quite similar in a lot of ways. But what drew you to Indian classical music very specifically, as opposed to doing any other type of music?
It's very difficult to say what specific element of it. I think there's, from a conscious perspective, there's the fact that they use this incredible technical mastery to achieve moving people emotionally. Yeah. So that never goes. It's never just about technique. That aspect of moving people, especially with Gwali, so prevalent. And that got me because the scope of what you can achieve in that is just massive. And then I think ultimately there's a spirituality that's embedded in that music because of what it was originally, where it comes from. It all has spiritual origins, and that spoke to me in a way that I still to this day I'm trying to understand. I didn't grow up with any of that.
Well, I'm so glad that you did, because in 2019 when I discovered Mankunto Mola, I literally lost my mind. I mean, that video that you put up, and it was like an interesting part of my life because as my journey of becoming like this creative, and this is something I also have like a lot of imposter syndrome around, of like calling myself a fashion designer or calling myself a creative. Really? Well, now it's pretty cool, but leading up to that point, really what I was trying to understand is like there are a lot of these cross-cultural interactions between the South Asian diaspora and every other major Western world. What was missing for me, and I'm sure you can relate to this, is that when I decided to kind of really put my hat, my name in the hat for fashion, the silhouettes of like, the historic Mughal era were missing, or just like these silhouettes like what you're wearing, they're just completely missing. And being able to modernize that in such a way where we don't lose the culture, but we still have representation in a way that that cross-cultural cohort of people, which is huge, by the way. You know, there are generations, we're like 3 to 4 generations in that have been integrating into Western civilizations. And, you know, I just said this in a recent interview that I'm very American, but I'm also very Indian. And to be able to bridge the two worlds was really, really important to me from just a philosophical perspective. And so, from your perspective, as you merge these kind of worlds together, like what is top of mind for you?
You know, I can actually talk about it through the pieces that you've put together. I went to a concert and there was this incredible choir player and she was playing with an orchestra. She was combining genres and worlds as well. And she said the most difficult thing with fusion or bringing cultures together is you can usually see the glue that's holding things together. And with this to me has always felt seamless. And that's, I think people, because you make it look effortless, people don't understand how much.
It's not.
But it's true. It's in the micro details that make it all blend together in this way. Because in a lot of senses, and a lot of people have tried, these things have no business interacting together until you find that perfect way to jigsaw them together and to smooth it into your own thing. So that's the same way that I've approached music. And I wonder, like, creatively, whether it's the same for you. For me, very much, as I've gone on the journey, I've learned that there are technical things that have to be correct for the two worlds to come together. But primarily it's intuitive. You know, I play something back to myself and I know. It's either there or it's not.
I think that, so let's just talk about the glue for a second. I think you and I will always see the glue to a large degree. But I think that's the responsibility that we've taken on. But at the same time, I think that, you know, being able to come out with something that does resonate in a way, you know, for me, like I didn't, you know, it was kind of the war against color, for lack of better words. And because you know, in this cross section, it was so much of, you know, India is a very colorful place, which I love. That's the heritage. But then there's also this beautiful silhouette. And so absent the colors, do you still have the power of the silhouette? And that's effectively the working theory right now. You know, and that's kind of the baseline foundation in which SAAF Garments operates to this day.
It's interesting, isn't it? This is why it resonates with me so much, what you do. It's because I think the portrayal of South Asia in cultures that we grew up in was very much this happy-go-lucky, colorful, very Bollywood sing-along kind of thing, which is wonderful. Don't get me wrong,
and it still is.
It's still incredible, which is amazing. But there is a depth and a kind of heritage and history that I think is a little bit more. Well, it's a bit more monochrome. It's a bit more straight edge. And that's kind of what I try to imbibe in the music as well. And that's the thing. I think it's not that one is trying to replace the other. It's that we are showing that there is another dimension to South Asian culture. People maybe haven't quite experienced yet. But people like us were looking for. I don't know about you. I did this because this didn't exist. If someone else had made this, I'd have been a very happy man. I'd have listened to what existed and just...
That's so funny you should say that. I did this exactly. And I think that's where the synergies like lie. And I think for those people who are watching right now, what many people don't know is that when I started SAAF Garments, I wrote your name and Abhi's name down as like #1 of people who I wanted to represent the brand. So this is a little bit of a full circle moment, because what I found that you were doing with music is exactly what the goal is with, you know, through garments and fashion for me. To be able to tell these stories, which are very rich in history. Right? You know, you're telling the stories of Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan in the most grand way possible. And what I'd like to do is, you know, be able to tell the stories of the legacies of craftsmanship that have come out of India, the silhouettes that have come out of India, and put them on a global stage for global display. Because the culture is not just what we've talked about. It's multifaceted, as you mentioned.
No, absolutely. But granularly now, when you are choosing your ingredients to bring something together, again, how much of it is intuitive and how much of it is really, really conscious and technical? And
I don't think any of it is actually as technical, and a lot more of it is intuitive. I think as I've, you know, grown into the craft of things, I just know more, so I do things a little bit differently. But a lot of it just comes from the intuition around. For me, it's like, does this exist in the marketplace, and is there a market for it? You know, primarily. And is there an audience for it? And that's really where I play in.
That's the balance, isn't it? Because it's, as an artist, there are lots of things that I feel like I can or want to make and things like that. But there's also that always has to be tempered or balanced with that view of, well, what does the market actually need right now? Where can we actually move to take our place?
Do you find sometimes that, like for me, this happens where I have these grand creative ideas, and I do have to temper back a little bit because, you know, I'm toggling between the creative side and the market fit side.
Yeah, 100%. It's the same in music. There's always a reality to what you want to do. So I always try to begin with some form of blue sky thinking, which you can't predict when it will come and how it falls on you. But I don't feel caged in by the restrictions that practicality brings.
Yes,
I think
I have seen that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I've been grateful enough to be able to witness that. No cage can cage you. For sure.
No, but
for sure.
Yeah, 110-piece orchestra, 40-piece choir,
yeah,
the rest of it. But it's sometimes that the limitations actually define things in a really wonderful way. They focus your thinking. Is it the same for you?
It is. Sometimes, you know, when I came out with SAAF Garments, I came out with like 37 pieces.
Yeah.
Which that's a lot of different type of things to come out with, but you know, I was really focused on being able to tell the full story. You know, and now as I think about the next collections, and I just want to talk about that for you as well, but as I think about like the next iterations of what this looks like for me, it is a little bit more constrained. It is a little bit more caged because you're absolutely right. The focus is a bit sharper.
Yeah.
You are able to get better with certain things, and you're able to really test out working theories with other things. What about you? What does the next look like for you?
I think the next stage for me, at least, is just I feel like I've come to a point now where I think it's similar. The first stage was just bringing these things together and the thing is, let's make it work. Let's just make it work. Let's just make sure that it's actually a thing that functions, that exists in the world and doesn't fight against itself to exist. Now it's all about focus and finesse. Yeah. How do I take this thing and keep getting better and better and better and better at my craft? And that's the thing I love about writing for orchestra, man. It's a limitless journey.
So let me ask you this: like, did you ever feel like there was a phase, or do you feel like there was a moment where you realized, like, oh, this might be something? Because I agree with you, and I certainly agree with this, you know, wholeheartedly. There's this point where you're like, I just want to make this work, and then you're like, oh, this is working.
This is this thing.
Do you have a moment where you felt that way? I could have a pretty specific date in mind, May 2024.
It's really weird. Our experience of that. So I this leads on to another question, by the way. I can tell you, like, my experience of doing the Royal Albert Hall show was, we did it and it was an incredible thing, but I was so focused on delivery. Came away the next day and I was pretty low. I was pretty depressed.
Of course.
Because one, it's just delivery vibe, but then also I listened to things and I was like, that isn't perfect and that isn't perfect.
Sure.
It's like a year, 2 years on that I can look back and go, that was something. Yes. It takes me a year to get away from it.
That's so funny.
Is it the same for you?
And I've talked about this a lot. I think this is just the creative and artist journey, whereby you work on something so much, and then you release it, and that's like almost like the lowest I'm gonna feel. Because before that, it was yours. Yeah. And now, once you release it, it no longer is yours. Yeah. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think that. But just in case there's any doubt, I would absolutely say that the Royal Albert Hall performance was absolutely that moment that solidified you in the space.
No, it was incredible. And you know what? There's a very funny story, because if I showed you what I planned to wear before you reached out to me, so I never thought that I could have something that felt right for what we did until I saw your work. That made me, when the first time I put that on, and I remember exactly where it was. I was standing in the landing, and for the first time I felt like,
with one sock on.
With one sock on, I sent you that photo.
You did.
There's still a little bit of me there. One sock, messed up hair. That was the first time I felt like I had a skin. It's very difficult to put into words how grateful I am for that.
No, and I think, likewise though, I think that the synergy, and I think that's why this collaboration makes so much sense in so many ways, because, you know, when you come, at least for me, when I come out with something, I really want to make sure that it's presented in the exact way I want it. And for, you know, something that I came up with, you know, on a whim, really, to be worn at one of the greatest and most iconic stages in the world, not only that, but being worn for a moment in the culture,
Yeah.
which was seismic. In fact, my parents asked me, "Hey, who is in the audience when you go to Rushil Ranjan shows?" And I was like, "It's everybody."
Yeah.
And what they're surprised about is how Qawwali music is now back in the main stage after almost 30 years.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to find somebody that, and also I think it's just really important to take inventory of the moment that we're in right now.
Yeah.
I could have come out with this 2 years later,
Yeah.
or I could have come out with this 2 years before. Same.
It wouldn't have been.
And I
right.
really do believe that timing is divine.
Yeah.
That not only did you have the experiences that you have, but I had the experiences I had, but at the exact same time, that it was an incredible moment for not only to set the stage, but also, you know, create a moment for the future.
Yeah. But it's that point, isn't it, as well? I mean, the clothes that you've designed now, they're worn by people like me who are from this heritage and
Correct.
stuff. But it's been picked up and worn by so many different
Yes.
people from different walks of life and different cultures, from red carpets and all the rest of it.
Of course.
All the way to, and it's just, that makes me really happy. You then get to see that what you're making is just art. It's not
Yes, specific.
tethered to anything.
Yes.
It is if you
Yes.
want it to be, and
Yes.
it can be if you need it to be,
Yes.
but it's just art.
And I think that's really important. I would love your take on this. But like when I came out, like the brand and SAAF Garments and the juxtaposition of the words, even SAAF is an Urdu word and garments is an English word, and that's kind of where I live. I live in between that, and therefore it's SAAF Garments. And when I came out with it, a lot of people didn't really know how to pronounce SAAF. They said SAAF or other things, but now SAAF just kind of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
Which is a cultural moment in and of itself, because you're able to share the culture without ever denying it. And I think that's like really important to me. And at the same time, I was really focused on making sure that by me being South Asian, the brand is inevitably going, it is South Asian.
Yeah.
But the audience is intended for a global stage, because I believe that the storytelling is just so rich. I believe that we should be able to take control of the narrative of whatever it is that we want to tell, and tell that story in the most authentic way. Yeah. And I think a testament to that would be the audiences that you have. And when I've seen, at least, it's everybody. Do you agree?
No, 100%. It's the wonderful thing to encounter is that there are people from all different parts of the world, from different age ranges, and it's just they're all coming to listen to music. Most of the people who are there don't, before they come there, understand the lyrics. They don't speak Urdu or Punjabi or anything like that, and they're listening to these things and they're going on this journey, which, to me, again, it's almost like we're experiencing this kind of renaissance, because back in Mughal times, if Qawwali was played, again, it was played, but people didn't really understand why there was so much magnetism. They were just drawn to it.
Yeah.
And that was my experience. I think that's what people are experiencing now. And so to be a conduit for that it's a privilege, really.
So let me ask you this. When you write your music, do you write in where the audience is going to stand up and start clapping?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, for those of you who are watching, there are very key and specific moments in the overall sets where the music will start to fade a little bit before it picks back up. And in that pickup, you have the entire audience, whether they've attended or not attended, rise and start clapping. There's several videos of me on the internet of doing this.
No. I always know, this is the thing. I look for, when you're in the audience, I look for you because that's my safe space.
Oh, that's so
genuinely.
Sweet.
Seriously.
That's so sweet.
So I know, I see it every time, and you sat right next to my mom.
Oh man, well, yeah, we can talk about my relationship with your mother. It was just jokes.
I mean, you fulfilled her lifelong dream. So Osama came to the Royal Albert Hall show. The first thing he did when he arrived was he looked at my very raggedy pair of boots with holes in them and went, "Oh my God, you can't wear this on stage. Here is something wonderful." And I think that completed so many things.
For your mom. Yeah, and I think that's like, so like just on a personal note, I think that's one of the most beautiful things about, while building for a global stage, to be able to look out into the audience or into the world and find your safe space.
Yeah.
I think that I certainly have found that in you, and you being able to wear the clothes, just because I feel like the artistry and the form of which we want to be able to create and share with the world is so similar. But at the same time, there are also these like small cultural nuances, which I share with your mom, quite literally, where she was trolling me live performance. But much love to you, Auntie. Which was hilarious. And I've told everybody that story. And so, as you think about, may we both have very long careers in our respective creative spaces. So as you think about, your legacy, and I know it's at the infancy stages of life, but as you think about your legacy in being able to share this art form, what do you want? What do you want to have happen? Recognizing that we are probably living in a golden era of cultural renaissance.
Yeah, for us, it's really difficult to talk about legacy, only because for me, I've come to a point in my career where I'm so focused on just making sure that I stay true to connecting to people who come to hear the music. That's number 1 through 10 of what we're making. The daily thing that I wake up with is be grateful for this opportunity to do this, the opportunity to play with these incredible orchestras and musicians.
No doubt.
And be good enough at it to justify everything that has been given to me. That's like so much of my mental space. But in terms of, if I really were to think about it, legacy, I think as long as we were able to, through the work that we've done, expose to people that the culture that we come from, and I mean, when I say that, I mean this specific mix,
yes,
because we are second generation now,
correct,
is for everybody, and expose the depth of it, and for people to come and experience it and not go, oh, we're being cultured. It's they come down and they just experience it as art. If I can move the dial, turn the dial in that direction, even a tiny bit, that's enough for me. What about you?
I think that's the same for me. I think for me, it's really about being able to look. When I was 11 months old when I came to America, and I remember very distinctly about, what was it like for me growing up in America? Because 11 months, I mean, I'm American fully. There's no question about it. But my cultural roots were so deeply rooted that I grew up with my grandparents.
Yeah.
I saw the dynamics of family and culture. My grandmother never spoke a word of English, so I only grew up speaking Urdu.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of cultural moments that would happen, whether it's birthdays, whether that's celebrations, whether that's going to Eid parties or other things. And there was a very specific type of representation around clothes and choices. And in 20 years, if I look back, if I can move that needle forward, where the journey of somebody who is very culturally rooted, or is not culturally rooted, or has nothing to do with this culture, looks at this and says, you know what, I would love to wear this, or chooses to wear this, that to me would be success, and really nothing else. And because I think I agree with you, I have so much gratitude that, again, I think timing is so divine. I think it's so important to take inventory of that.
Yeah.
But to me, that would just be kind of the biggest indicator of success.
Yeah, 100%. Wow.
And so to wrap,
I'm
so excited about this partnership.
Me too, man.
I think it's like a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we're just getting started.
Yeah, me too. I mean, again, it's just worth saying that it feels kind of crazy that the music feels so tethered to the aesthetic.
Totally.
Just in time.
Honestly.
Just in time as stuff gets real.
Yes.
For both of us.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
In both of the lanes that we're traveling down.
Without a doubt. And I think that's like something that I often take inventory of. I mean, even just doing this today.
Yeah.
And the timing of being able to get this sorted. So I think I'm really grateful for that, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. I'm in. That's a wrap.